Guys, how's it going? We're back at you live talking about the Arbitrum ecosystem. Latest update going on right now. As usual, nothing in this video is financial advice, and everything that I say is my opinion and my opinion alone. That being said, let's jump right into it. We have Chris here from L2Beat, co-founder of L2Beat actually, and he says, and the first roll-up to cross 10 billion in TVL is Arbitrum. By the way, native token ARB to TVL ratio is at a healthy 25%. Chris here is just highlighting the fact that Arbitrum 1, as he mentioned, is the first roll-up, generalized roll-up or otherwise, to hit $10 billion in total value locked, including funds bridged, native tokens, etc. It's a pretty big milestone. If we actually just take a look at L2Beat, which is a tracker for like layer 2s generally speaking, you can actually see this is the highest in TVL generally layer 2s have ever been. Definitely, half of the TVL actually does happen to come from Arbitrum in this case, with a market share of literally around half. But it's great to see the proliferation of L2s, alongside like all the activity and all the different apps and ecosystems that are being launched and communities being built around them. I definitely think this time around, in terms of this like next bull market, because not financial advice, I do think you're going to see a lot more activity happening on Ethereum via layer 2s, like without a doubt. Layer 1s obviously have their own purposes and have their own, I guess, strengths and weaknesses. But I do think because layer 2 projects, most of the, I don't even want to say most of them. Some layer 2 projects are very close to the Ethereum ecosystem in kind of like a social kind of way, not necessarily technical. Some people just don't want to move to an alternative layer 1, but they don't like Ethereum's high gas fees. So the obvious choice, of course, is Arbitrum or another generalized layer 2. And actually, continuing on that kind of layer 2 beat kind of aspect here, we have DC Investor saying Arbitrum is the only L2 which has reached stage 1 fraud proofs, and it will probably be the first to reach stage 2. A stark depiction of a very simple principle: locked value follows decentralization. And real quick, before I get into the picture that he's referencing here, the different stages that DC Investor refers to here is essentially the stages of decentralization that a rollup is in. There's stage 0, there's not available, there's stage 1, and then there is stage 2. Most rollups, as you can see, are either don't have any stages because they're not necessarily complete rollups. And if they're not that, then most of them are at stage 0, such as OP mainnet as well as base. Arbitrum is the only generalized rollup in stage 1 currently. And of course the biggest rollup in terms of TVL and activity, and that's probably has a good reason to do with it, as DC Investor says. The fact that for the most part Arbitrum is a lot more risk averse / decentralized than most of the other rollups is a good reason why you probably seem to find that a lot of the ETH and a lot of the capital happens to be sitting on Arbitrum 1 mainnet versus all these other chains. As you can see, Arbitrum 1 literally has more ETH bridged at 1.3 million versus all of the other layer 2s combined, including even some layer 1s such as Avalanche. It's pretty insane how many people really do value the security that Ethereum provides and relies on the layer 2 to provide that same security alongside, of course, very fast execution environment with bustling, of course, ecosystem. So great to see tweets like this, because I definitely agree. I think Arbitrum 1 is probably going to be the first rollup to hit stage 2 this year, by far, without a doubt. Coming up here, we have an announcement from Unibot. Unibot says, Unibot X Arbitrum is here. The future is multi-chain, and we're proud to support Arbitrum as our second L2 on Unibot. Now live on our Telegram bot, seamlessly bridged to Arbitrum with Stargate and instantly swap from the bot, on-chain and onward. Unibot here is a pretty famous Telegram-based trading bot. So essentially, you can buy and sell tokens off of Telegram using Unibot. I've never used it personally. I've never used a Telegram trading bot, generally speaking, just because I like having kind of complete ownership over my private key and my funds. So like self-storing it with a hardware wallet or like a Web3 wallet in this case. I'm usually fine with doing that stuff versus kind of importing things to a Telegram bot, to a Telegram wallet or a Telegram bot. But honestly, I'd implore you try it out if you're interested. Definitely wouldn't kind of use like a wallet with too much funds in it personally, but to each his own. And I think Unibot is it's obviously the kings of Telegram bot trading. If there's anyone you're going to try out, I highly recommend you try this one out. Again, not financial advice. Be safe. Do your research, etc. But that being said, one thing that I wanted to point out here is that they're definitely the coolest kind of innovation from Unibot that you're going to start seeing a lot in 2024 is the abstraction of these very complex systems that come with using crypto. In this case, it's really using a wallet. Like using a wallet in crypto is kind of like a really big barrier to entry for a lot of regular people trying to get into the space. They use, most people use an exchange, but then once you have to start getting them involved in switching a network, using a wallet, sending it back and forth, it's a very kind of complex thing, and a lot of people don't want to do that. Using a Telegram bot from a wallet too is probably even more complex, but the point is that with the Telegram bot, a lot of the actual signing and completing of a transaction is actually obfuscated away, from my understanding. And you're more or less just telling the bot what you want it to do, and it's kind of executing transactions on your behalf. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more apps using that kind of similar model. A great example too is kind of when SocialFi was a big thing, FriendTech, and the other kind of clones that came out of that. A lot of those were the same, right? The private key was self-hosted, so obviously you kind of forego that privacy of having your own kind of wallet, but at least you had a UX that was unmatchable. So I don't know. I'm a big fan of keeping your own wallet to yourself. And if you're going to use some of these things, use funds that you really don't care if they end up getting hacked or whatever. But a kind of abstraction, generally speaking, I think is going to be a really cool innovation happening this year. And I'm looking forward to all the different dApps that are going to be using it. And lastly, just wanted to say that I'm heading out to Denver next month. So if you're going to be out there as well at the conference, at the hackathon, hit me up. I'll be hanging out probably at the Arbitrum booth, but also I'll be making my rounds, kind of shaking hands, kissing babies, all the good stuff. But really excited to meet everyone again. I went 2 years ago now, not the one last year, but like I said, 2 years ago during the bull market, and that was definitely an experience. So I'm really excited to see what it's like this year. Hopefully the market's looking up, so the energy also kind of matches that sentiment too. But that being said, as usual, check out the Beneath the Layers podcast if you're interested in listening to more crypto-related shows focused on entrepreneurship and people who are actively building in the crypto ecosystem. Had a ton of great guests on here over the past couple months, and I'm continuing to bring on more great guests as well. I might even have a new one this week or next week, so definitely stay tuned, keep an eye out. And that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out, guys. Have a good one.